for those questions. Without an opposition, is the church going to take the place of the opposition or going to sustain that? I want to categorically say the church will never be an opposition party, but the church will stand to be the voice of the voiceless, and the role of the church has been the shepherd, taking the role as explained in the book of Ezekiel, where the shepherd has been, and the watchman has been called to make noise when there is danger, warn when there is a looming a threat, and make people aware of the dangers they are treading in. The church will continue to play that, and our major role is a prophetic ministry. Our major role is to say when things are not working, also compliment when things are working well. So we will not take a position like an official opposition grouping as a church. All what we want is to play our role as a shepherd and the moral guidance and conscience of the society, as that is our role, and that is clear where the church is coming from. Will the church be firm on its mandate, and particularly will it sustain the war and this agenda? And I want to tie this with somebody who said, will the church go back where it was in the 80s and in the early 90s? Yes, the church has forever been alive and present preaching the gospel. Terrain change and time change. The issues of the 90s were the issues of the 90s, and the church stood up to fight the issues of that time. What I want to promise, the church will be alive to the challenges of the year 2020, 2021, 2022, and the future. We are in our generation. We will fight the wars of our generation, and ours are religious wars, telling people to be on the right side with God, on the right side with society and themselves, and doing the right thing perceived by God, not just by an individual. We will continue to be there, and we will continue to preach the gospel that gives us that direction. So we want to say we will sustain, and that's why we are saying we are recommitting ourselves as a church, and we want to enlist the membership of the church, our dioceses, our local churches, and this is how the Anglican Church see her mission agenda. Our mission agenda is not to be driven in my headquarters where I sit in my office. The agenda of the Anglican Church in our mission is to be driven at the local church, and the local church must be the place where society has to get the message, where society has to get the teachings, where society has to be redirected, because that's where people gather on a Sunday basis, and that's where we want to put our attention. That's where our journey is going to be, and this is our redefinition of the local church. We want to see every local church in Kenya becoming a convener and a sustainer of discussions around human, socio-economic and spiritual affairs of their lives, and this is where we shall be teaching them how to care for the environment, how to improve relationship, how to be a corrupt-free society, how to shun corruption and other evils and ills, because they are all bordering with what the church preaches against, sin. And that's why we introduce this subject by saying corruption is sin by its definition. So the church will take her front and in that direction. The position of the church and the money for harambes that are brought by the politician, yes, we have had mixed reaction. Even as yesterday, I was seeing church leaders saying, we will welcome that money because we don't know how to clean, how to identify dirty and clean money. Yes, it is true, but our teaching in the church is that, and I said that during my Easter message, let us learn as a church to worship God with our resources quietly. Let us not hype this thing of Harambe and the guest of honor, because that's where we go wrong. The guest of honor will come, he will begin to give a speech, and in the speech then he takes us out of the church message. And therefore what we are saying, if you are to come to church to worship, come and worship with your resources. And let us as a church also learn to mobilize resources for our development agenda, and do it quietly the church way, not that hyped guest of honor thing that normally takes us off the pulpit. And we are also saying, can the pulpit be for the worship leaders, so that when we are leading services, we will enable the worship leader to be the one to lead the service from beginning to the end, without interludes and interference from other people who may come to introduce a subject which is not the agenda of the church. And therefore, that's what we shall be rallying to. We know the church has lost in that game because we have allowed it to happen, and we are saying we want to recommit to undo, because the church wants to remain to be the church, and that is our call. The public debt, yes, I have highlighted here, it is worrying. It is worrying that we continue to pay heavy and commit our revenue heavily to paying a debt at the expense of development and essential services and investment for the future. And that's why we said in this briefing that it jeopardizes our opportunity to invest, to create jobs for the youth and other sectors of society. And therefore, we want to urge our nation, let us know how to manage the current debt without going for more debts. Because if we are not going to manage the current and we are borrowing heavily more, they will exit the political zen and leave the debt for Kenyans to continue to pay, and generations to come will never enjoy the good of their land. They will be there paying more and more debts. And the tragedy is some of these debts are even spent before they come to Kenya. In yesterday's papers I saw the Auditor General saying he cannot explain actually the spending of the Eurobond because a lot of them was spent outside of the IFMIS, the government operations on how to use public resources. So it was like he was saying, I'm held up. I cannot explain whether it was put in the right place or not in the right place. And this is what we are saying. If we continue to borrow, and that money that we borrow is taken over and outside of the normal process of why they are borrowed, then we are going to create a very dangerous trend, and Kenya will forever be in debt, and our children will not fight a country they will enjoy. Ours is to fight to have a country that our children, born and unborn, will have a place to enjoy and call home. Thank you.